Hey everyone, I wanted to put out a video update going over some important stuff. So I hope you've all been doing well. I know we are in the home stretch of the semester and it is an exciting feeling. It is also kind of daunting, and I know everyone is very busy right now. But please take the time to watch this video. It will be helpful for you, I promise, to help get you through the rest of the class. So I really hope you're all doing well and taking some time to hopefully rejuvenate and get through the rest of the semester here. So, your partner critique was due yesterday. Hopefully, you CC'd Brandy to turn that in via the instructions on how to submit your partner critique, so that should all be taken care of. I put out a reminder, I think, on Thursday, reminding you that it was due yesterday. Okay, I want to go over the first drafts a little bit. So they are all graded. If you do not have a grade on your first draft, that means that I somehow missed it. So please email me right away. You have feedback in a few different places for your first draft. If you submitted it on Blackboard, you have maybe some general comments in the general area of Blackboard. You have feedback on the rubric, so comments on your rubric, and then maybe most importantly, or maybe the most helpful, I think in my opinion anyway, are the comments and edits that I leave on your paper that I attach to your grade in Blackboard. So make sure you're seeing all of that, because I have one or two students every semester who at the end of the semester is like, well, we didn't get any feedback on our papers, or where's my feedback? And it just makes me want to cry, because I try to put in a lot of effort into giving you guys feedback and how to develop your paper. So make sure you can see those areas of feedback. If you emailed your paper to me because you used your one free late assignment or something, then it's all in the email. The rubric comments, the attachments, so on and so forth. Make sure you can see your feedback, please. Just some very general feedback on the papers. I think a couple of things that recurred most throughout the papers that I just wanted to mention. And this could be a product of some people just considering, oh, it's a first draft, so maybe not put quite as much effort into it as I would a final draft, which I hope that you didn't do. But it could also just be writing skill. Make sure that you are using paragraphs to split up your work. I found that to be kind of a recurring issue throughout many of the papers. Make sure you're using paragraphs to split up your ideas, to delineate different areas of your paper. Paragraphs are your friend. Paragraphs should really only be, 4 to 6 sentences on average in a paper like this, maybe a little bit longer. So I don't expect you to go through your paper now and make sure everything is between 4 and 6 sentences. But if you have a paragraph in this type of paper that's going on for like a page, you really got to reevaluate it. There should be good reason why it's going on that long, and it should be really clear and organized within the paragraph itself. I generally encourage people, and this is what I do for myself. I had a really wise professor when I was an undergraduate tell me that when you read a piece of writing, it should be like you're reading nothing. And what he meant by that was it should flow from sentence to sentence, from paragraph to paragraph so smoothly that you should never have to stop and pause and be like, well, what am I reading, or why is that? Now, there may be complex information which you may have to think about for a second, but in terms of the accessibility of it, it should be clear. So what I really encourage people to do, and it's hard for me sometimes too, read your paper aloud. And if you get caught up on a sentence where it's like you have to pause for a second, or you stumble on your words because of how they're arranged, then you got to reword that sentence. I had another really, really wise professor, philosophy professor, once tell me to never be satisfied with a sentence. Now that may be a little extreme, because I don't want you ruminating on a sentence all day. However, I think the point is that you can always make a sentence a little clearer and better. So that's just general feedback that I saw in a lot of papers, and I think it's good, hopefully good advice for writing in general. Let's see. Grades for the course. So One thing I wanted to make clear, I'll probably put out in another announcement as we get closer to final grades, but please do not count on Blackboard to calculate your final grade for you, okay? So some of you probably noticed that on Blackboard, the grade for your first draft was out of 40. So some of you got an 80 out of 40, or a 90 out of 40, or a 60 out of 40. Um, the out of 40 is just for assessment purposes. It's a long story. I'm not going to bore you with it, but it's actually out of 100, right? The first draft is worth 100 points. So if you got a 70 out of 40, you got a 70 out of 100, so on and so forth. Please do not rely on Blackboard to calculate your grade for you. So I don't have a student view, but I know somewhere in Blackboard that you can click somewhere and it will say, I don't know, you're getting a 85% in the class or whatever. That is probably not correct. So make sure the way to find your grade is to go to Blackboard, the full grade center, look at how many points you have for the class. So if you have 445 points for the class, go to the syllabus and you can see how many points there are in the class, how many points are left that you can get, and how to calculate your grade. Well, there's a list of, 440 points equals this grade, this equals this grade. So you just have to see where you're at in the class. So don't rely on Blackboard for your grade. I'll say that again, but I have a handful of students who get their wires crossed a little bit with that each semester, so I try to make that clear. Lastly, your final draft, very important point here, is due on May 4th, I believe. May 4th is a Friday. It is due that day. So this is how I grade your final draft. I use the rubric criteria and all of that, but I also pull up your first draft. So I look at your first draft, look at all the comments that I made, look at the rubric comments that I made. Then I look at your second draft or your final draft, and I look at all the comments that, and I look if you've changed things. Have you developed your paper, right? Have you developed your paper? So have you taken the feedback that I provided, maybe that your partner provided, and have you developed your second draft? So just please keep that in mind. So if you got, let's say, an 80 on your paper and you turn in the same paper to me, the exact same paper, no changes whatsoever, you will not receive an 80 on the second draft, okay? You will receive a lower grade, and it will probably be significantly lower. So you are not guaranteed the same grade, your final draft, as you got your first draft. So again, if you got an 80, that does not mean that it is an 80 paper and you turn it in again and you will get an 80, okay? The point of the second draft is to develop your work. So please make sure you're developing it. And then you will get a grade based on how you developed your paper and where your paper's at in terms of the rubric. Please note too, with your partner critique, you use your partner critique stuff, but sometimes what the partner says and what I says kind of conflict. I just want you to know that you don't have to take everything that your partner says and change that in your paper. Sometimes partners can be pretty intense in their critiquing, which is great, and I wanted that. But do not feel you have to do everything that your partner does. And if something that I said in your paper and your partner says kind of conflict, you should probably go with what I said. So just wanted to go over that. I think that's relatively straightforward and common sense. Let's see. I think that's about it, everybody. Just wanted to go over how I'm going to grade the final draft, some other things about the course. I hope you're all doing well. I really enjoyed reading your first drafts. There was lots of good stuff out there. I'm looking forward to seeing the final drafts. It's all about developing. It's all about becoming a little bit more confident in your writing, feeling a little bit better about it. So feel free to email me with questions or thoughts about your paper, okay? Please feel free to email me. I am here to help, and I'm here to help you get through the course. Thanks so much.